Hey guys, it's your boy Vladis. Sorry I'm talking so low. It's because it's super late here. My daughter's asleep in the next room and my camera keeps zooming in and out for some reason. But let's get into this video because there was a lot of things that Steven came into the Discord and said about Ashes of Creation, about Phase 3, about taking breaks, about just a whole bunch of stuff. So I compiled all the stuff that I could into this video. So let's get into it. So let's start off with the first one, which is actually pretty exciting. So there was a person asking about, is there any chance that we'll go into more granular level requirements for gear than every 10 levels? And I couldn't get the rest of it, but there was a huge thing that Steven said, which is part of the econ revamp, is 3 tiers within grades. We will discuss in next week's stream. Now, I really don't know what this means. I don't know if this is going to be, you know, a level 0 gear can only have like common, uncommon, and rare, or what do tiers mean? I mean, this is going to be something very exciting when we go into the live stream. The second thing, our boy Richie was asking about Transmog and if certain cosmetics were going to be available at the start of Phase 3. And this is what Steven said: an initial implementation will be for full body cosmetics and mount skins that were purchased with KS and Kickstarter and pre-orders. Not all will be ready at the start of Phase 3, but I think 100 plus will be. So this is really exciting if you're a Kickstarter person, if you are a pre-order package person like myself. Hopefully my skin might be in there. I mean, I actually know my skin's in there because I've already seen it in game like 3 years ago. It was the red samurai outfit, which I cannot wait to have on my Renkai. That's gonna be so good. The next one, it was actually a question for me, is the team going to use megalights for Ashes of Creation? Because we all know they're going to 5.6. And Steven says, we have our own solution. Megalights is still very bleeding edge for Epic. So this was actually a very interesting thing because I really didn't know, you know, well, of course I kind of did, that megalights was a very early adoption of 5.5. But man, you know, the way megalights works and how performance driven it is, I feel like maybe if it's bleeding edge now, give it 1 or 2 more years in Unreal. I mean, I really do feel like megalights could be such a goated feature for Ashes of Creation and its lighting design. And then we also got some confirmation that the clouds in the sky will be coming with fixes soon, because we all know how just ugly the clouds look in the game currently. It's just skybox, amazing. Clouds, not so much. And this is also just something that a person asked, Steven, how do you see the improvement in graphics with the implementation of version 5.6 with Unreal? And Steven says preliminary GPU optimizations look like 20 to 40% improvement in 5.6. Now this is huge, guys. Like, I really excited about 5.6. I mean, right now, currently, I used to run Ashes of Creation on cinematic on everything because I have a brand new computer. And now I can't even run it in cinematic. I have to run it in high and it's still jittery and stuttery. Like, I don't know what happened, but this basically started when we went into 2.5, phase 2.5. I really hope that I hope phase 3 really changes how my computer runs Ashes, because that'd be amazing. So are we getting any kind of first time user experience at the start of phase 3? And Steven confirmed we're getting the new, FTUE, which is the first time user experience, and we're getting new quests, events, commissions, like what was going on with the team and creating quests and everything. And then Steven says, no, they are still implementing with old tool sets, and phase 3 will include new events and quest lines. And then Richie asks, you know, so when you talk about quest revamping, it always had hand in hand with the first time user experience. Will we see questing progression outside of those first few levels? And Steven basically said the questing and population tools have had undergo a bit of surgery over the last 6 months. That surgery is almost done. Once complete, it will be expected. It will improve our narrative workflows by 3 to 4x efficiency, both in QA and time to implement. Our NCS team is doing good work at the moment. I expect them to be ready to switch to the new pipeline sometime in September. That will also be likely when the world team starts their POI pass in the newly implemented zones. So this is going to be really exciting as well. And again, this is I think the huge hiccup a lot of studios when it comes to tool design. And I believe we all know that Intrepid is still getting their tools like in a better place. And then there was a person who asked about PTR, and Steven says PTR will have expanded access during the month of July. We'll be announcing this in the upcoming live stream. Our focus right now is the launch of P3. someone asked about the Scorpion boss, and what's going on with that. And Steven said that she got prioritized mid-development to focus on the desert expansion. And then, of course, our boy Richie was asking about Mage Earth spells ever coming back or were they scrapped. And Steven says, we will finish the Summoner, and then we'll be doing some revisions to skill trees and rounding out some left behind skills, including Earth magic. So this is basically what I always expected, was the fact that once they finish Summoner, then they were going to revisit a lot of the older classes and revamp them. Most of the classes should end up having 30 to 40 abilities, and no class currently is up to that standard. So hopefully we'll start getting fuller and fuller talent trees and toolkits and abilities and passives. That'll be very, very nice. And then I asked him a question about how the Summoner is coming along and what's his favorite ability. And he says, I like Transfer Pain, and it is coming along. Summoner is a tough one as an archetype because the work required to stand up the pet system, lots of engineering, which I completely agree. Coming from World of Warcraft, where I played a hunter, which is pet class, and then I switched to warlock, which is another pet class. I understand the difficulties and also the frustrations that gamers could face in operating with the pet class. So it's gonna be really interesting to see what they do with Summoner. And then another one was by me. Hey Steven, can you tell us the biggest hurdles the team has been facing since 2.5? Is it 5.6 with Unreal, or is it any kind of other broader major system? Steven says most challenging so far has been the engine update, dynamic gridding, bug fixes, and econ revamp, which we are eagerly waiting for the econ revamp as quickly as possible. Let me see, just my opinion, I think the system, massive fun levels. Not just sure if any talks about pushing this, but it will be really fun to loop. See, this is part of the crate rework. Relics will be crates, certain rare resources in PvP battlegrounds will be crates, and deep sea fishing will be crates. There's also another, I think it's going to be later on this video, he talks about crates. I really don't know what the crate rework's going to be, or like how crates are really going to operate. I mean, again, I've never done too many caravans because there was just a lot of risk in that, and my gameplay loop didn't really comprise of doing caravans, especially when they could be just killed off or whatever. So it's gonna be interesting to see what crates, especially when it comes to PvP battlegrounds, and how that's going to be for rewards for other people. And then Steven basically was asked a question about, Vec race looks like human idle stance. When are we gonna have a little bit more differentiation with the classes? And Steven says different races will eventually have different idle and posture stances to better provide a distant shape language for player characters, which I think is a great thing, especially since there's technically 4 human looking races. They really need to make some distinct postures, and for what's going to separate a Valoon from an Aelin, right? I think that's kind of the difference. And then you think about Pyre and High Elves, how are they going to be different as well, or Empyrean, sorry. And then someone asked, I'm surprised no one has asked about the volcano yet. Is the volcano coming anytime soon? And Steven says that zone is after the anvils, I believe, which is kind of interesting because I could have sworn Steven talked about the Badlands, and I thought that was going to be on the docket soon, but I'm guessing it's right above the June Dark, there's that huge circle there, and I'm guessing that is going to be the volcano area. But is that actually a zone? Because I really didn't think that was going to be a zone. I always kind of imagined it being the A1 or the Alpha 1 dungeon, with the which was a volcano, and you go in the volcano into this massive dungeon, and then you face the dragon at the end. That's what I was thinking that area was going to be, but who actually knows? You should really let Burns do a bespoke dev edition and bring a few devs along to talk. And Steven says that devs can feel uncomfortable at answering questions, especially in an active environment setting, because things can change so drastically, and you cannot always predict who will go off a cliff when it happens. So sometimes they don't want to be responsible for being the punching bag. That's why I tank the hate/love. And then Steven went on to say that he really enjoys our boy Copium Cleanup, our boy Burns, planning to do an interview discussion with the doctor soon. Holy shit. I cannot wait to see an interview with our boy Burns and Steven. That's going to be goated. And then we have another question about node death, and is that coming with stage 4 and vassalization, which we have gotten confirmation from Steven that stage 4 nodes and vassalization will be present at the start of phase 3, which is amazing. Node death will not be available by phase 3 launch, which is great. I think working out the penalties and the whole destruction of a node, I think that still needs to be up for discussion, at least with the community, because I really truly do feel that losing everything at your node is just not the way to go. I think a lot of players would be feeling better if you lost maybe 50% of your stuff. So that way, you know, everything that you have in that node, you know, you don't know what 50% is going to be lost in that translation or what's going to happen. Maybe it's all random, but I think, you know, losing 100% of everything, I think is just a little much. Our boy Sonic at Axiom says, don't you think that having people walk away and remove their voice from the question just leads to development down the same road? And Steven says, not if their voice becomes a broken record. Could not agree more. The key discrepancy I see in some of these comments is that you are entitled to your opinion, but the project won't be run by community opinion. We have a clear method of development and community engagement. We are consistently focused on improving both of those. But if you are annoyed or upset, don't sit around demanding what you want. Step away and come back later. 100%. And again, state what you want. You know, state the things you want, what you would want changed, and then that's it. Like, that's all you can do. Like, the whole constantly complaining about, you know, assist, like right now people are still complaining on econ, and that is the very thing that Intrepid is working on. Like, I don't get it sometimes, you know what I mean? It's like, we just got to wait. And again, people don't like to wait, but hey, I'm actually one of the main people that are affected because that was my entire game loop, but I'm just playing other games, you know, just not a big deal. And then Steven went on to say something else earlier. He says, anyone annoyed with development woes should step away and come back later. The purpose of our open development is not to force you to participate or do something that isn't bringing you joy. If you disagree with something, you can say it, but if you say it with nonstop each day and directly to the head of the company who disagrees with you, there is no point to stay and demand an apology. I don't say this to be dismissive, though you will surely take it this way, but rather to spare you the unwanted annoyance. The project will continue to progress and will ship. You do not have to be here for the entire process, and it is a hindrance to enjoying your day. You are welcome to take a break. It is encouraged. Testing an alpha MMO can really be quite the pain in the ass, and expecting a company to do things the way you want is quite the entitlement. 100%. And the fact is that, like, I feel like it's truly a privilege to be here and have a company actually listen to you. Now, they don't have to 100% listen to everything I say, but the fact is that I personally feel that, you know, from the conversations I've had with people at Intrepid and with Steven, that they really do care about the community sentiment and feeling on something. And as long as it doesn't go with its against the core pillars of Ashes of Creation's design, they are open to listening. And that is more than I've ever gotten when I've done stuff at Blizzard or left feedback for Blizzard, you know, being a WoW player for almost 17 years. So I feel like quite privileged the fact that this company actually listens to any idea that I have to say with any kind of seriousness. And then he basically went on, you know, he did link that, but I wanted to show you what he said on that. He's, I think I've heard the feedback and you have heard my response. Let this be a guiding light for anyone who hasn't expressed themselves and still carries the annoyances of our development. Help me raise awareness of this advice. And again, I've been saying this for so long, you know, and it's really nice to hear Steven say exactly what I've been saying. He would be the one to want you to stay, and yet he's literally telling you to, like, please take a break, like, go do something else, like, let us cook. And I think that is a very, very healthy thing to do. So I think Tim was asking about dynamic gridding, and if that doesn't work, like, what's the backup plan? And Stephen went on and said the backup would be static gridding, but it is already on our main development branch. Crates are exciting because they route the player's goods in the world with a tangible physical object that will be used for trade, some rare resources, construction, and more. So the fact that they already got dynamic gridding on their main development branch seems like good progress. But I think why I'm personally scared of dynamic gridding is because no company has ever been to literally get this off the ground in a game. And if Intrepid can do it, oh my god, this is literally going to be a complete game changer for the MMO genre. Like, it just is. Like, it's gonna 100% gonna be almost like a requirement at this point for a lot of other MMOs to do, because people are going to say, well, Intrepid did it, why can't you? Like, they weren't a multi-billion-dollar company, you guys are. That's going to be such a huge advancement for Intrepid at this point. Guys, that's all I have for you from Steven. A lot of great stuff coming on the horizon. What are you most excited for phase 3? A lot of stuff coming. Leave me your thoughts down below in the comment section. If you like this video, please give the like button, subscribe for more Ashes of Creation content, and I will see you guys on the next one. Take care, guys.